I'm Reverend Beverly Pryor, and I welcome all of you. I know all of you, and I think everybody online we know, but we just want to welcome everyone to our Sunday morning celebration experience. And let's just take a moment and get centered in prayer. If you're comfortable closing your outer eyes, do so, and then together let's take a deep breath in. A little pause at the top and a gentle release. With that breath, we're calling ourselves into this now moment, becoming fully present and fully attuned to all there is in the now. Together we open our hearts and our minds and we connect as one, which we know we always are. But in this moment, we're bringing our awareness to that connectedness, to that presence alive in each and every one of us, and we're joining in consciousness. We've all come here today in whatever form, and even if you're watching at a later time, we've all come to this moment, both to be a blessing and to receive a blessing. And for this truth and all there is, we simply say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. Okay. We like to remind everyone, I don't think we have anybody here for the first time, so we'll go through that. But we like to welcome people, and I made sure I made up some packets this morning, so we're ready for you when you do decide to come in, and we're calling them in with our heart.
Yes.
So we can help all new people to integrate into our community here and love on just like we love on each other. And we at Unity, the worldwide organization, and especially this community, we like to say we're unapologetically inclusive, and Dave is wearing the t-shirt to prove it today, because we are not judging. We're not putting othering on anyone. We're saying you are love, and I am love, and we are love expressing in this world, just as we were taught by that gentleman we call Jesus, that we know that he expressed the Christ consciousness. Christ is not his second name or his last name. It was a consciousness that at one point in his life, just as we are moving in that direction, he realized who he was, that he was so much more than just that human being they called Jesus. He knew his divinity and his personality and his personage was an expression of that divine. And we see that in all, regardless of your belief system, regardless of your personal preferences, whatever it is, your lifestyle, we're all good with that. Okay, our vision statement. Angela, would you like to lead us in our vision and our mission statements this morning? I'll step off so you can do that from this good spot that doesn't block it for everybody.
Yes, good morning. So let's say our vision together. A unified, diverse world embracing divine connection and inclusion for all. Yeah, this is our hope for the world, but we have to take some action. And so our mission statement, let's say this one together. To shine light, peace, and love by empowering and transforming lives through experiences of service and community.
Thank you. And that's Miss Angela Taylor, who's a member of our community here. And you will hear more from her in just a moment. Angel. Angel McCoy is going to light the Christ candle for us.
For every being, the light of Christ shines through each of us, illuminating the world around us. Each one of us is a keeper of the light, shining through us to bless each person and each situation we encounter. We light this candle as a symbol of the light of Christ, so we may remember the light that shines in each one of us, no matter where we are.
Thank you, Angel. Angel's also our audio-visual person, and she does some communications for us and all sorts of wonderful things, so we appreciate you very much. And we have one of our board members, Dave, to come forward and lead us in our opening statement, which is also the first of our 5 unity principles.
Morning, everyone. Excuse me. Our opening statement, you take a moment to think about the gifts you have to offer the world, not just your financial gifts, although those are necessary and appreciated, but all the gifts you have. Your personality, your skills, your time, your heart. Imagine taking those gifts and placing them in your hands, and when you are ready, offer them up to the world. Join me now in saying our offering statement together.
This is our opening statement. Opening statement on the screen.
It says offering statement.
Well,
Okay. I can be good.
so
Okay.
you jumped ahead. We're here, opening.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Join
We're
me
ready to
now.
give, too.
It's all good. That's
It's
right.
all coming from the one presence and the one power.
There's only one presence
Presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent.
And I was doing so good.
You were. You did.
Oh, well,
you
we
did
got that done.
wonderfully. Thank you, Dave.
Sorry.
You did great. We need to be reminded of giving.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So, we all know that Unity was founded on prayer. I know this room full of people knows that. I want to tell you that, we've been talking for a couple of months now about Jeannie going to the retreat this past week, and she was so excited to send a text to say she got to go sit in the room where they're holding the prayer vigils, and she could feel it. And she said she brought the prayer requests that were here, and she took them with her, and she took them into that room. So your prayer requests are going into the high vibe, but know that even if you didn't have a chance to submit anything in writing, that in this moment of consciousness, we're holding, and when she was there, she was holding this community. Whether you expressed your desires or not, she was bringing your desires into that moment of vigil. So we'll be excited. She'll tell us more about it at the workshop next weekend. And maybe, Russ, are you going to tell us a little bit more about that workshop at the end? When we?
I can do that.
Okay, good. So be prepared. I'll call on you then. All right, so if you're comfortable to close your eyes again. Let's take a deep breath in. And release that breath. Just drop back into that moment of oneness, that connection that we created at the beginning of service. We know with every fiber of our being that there's no difference in the prayers. There's no degree of prayer that's too difficult and none that is unimportant. Whatever your heart desires, whether it's finances, harmony in relationship, physical well-being, whatever it is that's on your heart, it was placed on your heart by that presence, by that power that we refer to as God. was placed on your heart to know that it exists for you. All we have to do is open ourselves to truth. We have to get out of our own way, and we have to, as Jesus, our way shower, taught us, claim our good. So together in this moment, regardless of what that prayer request might be, we claim that. We claim it in the name and through the nature and the power of all there is in this world. And we know that it is done for the highest and best for all concerned. And so it is. Amen. Okay, and Miss Betty is going to read the daily word for us today. There's your microphone.
Yeah.
You've got so many things in your hand.
Yeah.
Got to hold a mic too.
I got it.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
What I'm holding in my hand is a whole stack of daily words.
Can you put your microphone a little bit closer?
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Better.
I can hear me too. This is a stack of my daily words that because I'm just brought this to show how very much daily word means to me and has meant to me for many years. I have more of these at home. These are used. I know many people read the Bible every day, and that's where they get their daily guidance and information. And I myself read the daily word. And in my practice of psychotherapy, I'm not supposed to do this, but I do. I give away daily words, and I pull pages out and give them away. So I just bought these to show. Beverly thought I was just going to potluck it, she said, and pull one out. But no, I bought, and actually, Beverly gave me this really nice, clean, big print daily word to read from. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. But then I changed my mind and thought I would read from mine, which has a coffee stain on it. So it is, it's substance over status, I guess. So today's word is courage. God within me is the source of my courage, is the affirmation. Worrisome and challenging events may leave me thinking I don't have the courage to face them. What I'm going through may feel like too much to bear. Then I remind myself that as a divine being, I have the courage, all that I ever need. How I view myself has a strong bearing on how I handle my moments of stress. If I tell myself that I'm weak or unable to cope, then that will probably be my experience. But if I affirm that God within is my power to rise above any worldly situation, I will feel courageous, empowered, and strong. Stressful moments may leave me feeling alone and afraid. With the presence and power of God within me, I realize I am never alone and need not fear. This is the source of my courage. The biblical reading is taken from Joshua. I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And the affirmation again is,
Say it together.
say it together, God within me is the source of my courage.
Thank you, Betty. That was wonderful. And just because my copy is clean doesn't mean I don't read it.
I was implying nothing negative.
It is clean because it just came in the mail this week. So it hasn't been handled much. And I read it in the morning before I do other things. So anyway, that was wonderful. So this is our time of meditation and getting centered. And I think everybody in the room knows the routine by now. We're going to listen to a song. And I encourage you to close your eyes and just listen to the words. We have wonderful, what we call posy music musicians. And they write words that are really kind of little mini sermons. And so it's very uplifting to listen, and I make a point to select them that are in alignment with the message that we have for you today. So the first one is a song called In the Silence by Jack Fowler. Then I'll lead you in a guided meditation, and then we'll listen to another song after that. So if you will, just uncross your legs and your hands and let your spine be straight. I like to lift my shoulders up and pull them back and down so that my heart center is wide open. And then take a deep breath together. And release.
In the silence there is peace.
Together, let's take a deep breath in and release. Settling into that silence. Being fully present, fully aware. Give ourselves a moment just to notice. Notice the rising and the falling of your breath. Are you noticing it more in your chest and more in your belly? Stillness of mind, stillness of body. We open our heart into this moment. Listening. Listening to that still, small voice. In this space where we're connected, where we know our oneness and we know our truth. and we're grateful. It's all about allowing peace within. In absolute surrender, so serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you seize the struggle and love pours through your heart, it's all about allowing it to start. Now feel it warm and shining, new with promise, strong, undying love, different than any you have known. And now the seed is sown. It's all about allowing change to show, then living in the moment like it's all you'll ever know. And though it won't be easy, you can truly say you tried, for it's all about allowing it inside. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you seize the struggle and love pours through your heart, it was all about allowing. All about allowing it to start. Together, let's take a deep breath in and release. Hearts filled with love, mind supple and allowing. We come back into this moment and this time, fully present, fully alive to the presence, expressing as each one of us. We're so grateful for this truth and for this knowing, this understanding of our very existence in the world. And when you're ready, you can move your feet, your toes, your fingers, and slowly open your eyes. So this is the second of our Sunday series that Angela and I are calling Awakening to Divine Connection. And today is the act of creation. So Angela, her name is listed first this week because she is going to deliver the message. Last week she contributed to the message in a very significant way, and wasn't she awesome? Yes. And she felt good about it, and she actually enjoyed it enough to be willing to bring the full message today. So I will turn it over to Angela. Yay!
Thank you, Beverly, and thank you for all your support and mentorship through this. And thank you all for creating such a safe space for me to feel comfortable doing this. All right, so like she was saying, this is part 2 of our 2-part series, and it is about the act of creation. But before we get into today's lesson, let's just do a little recap so we all remember where we were last week. So last week we covered 3 principles, and the first one we talked about was just God is everywhere present. And this is an important part of prayer because that is the foundation, right, from which we pray from. And so we have to know that God is everywhere present for our process of prayer to work. And that is principle number 1. And then we went into knowing that we are all expressions of God, principle 2. We then pray from this knowing, from this truth. Again, there is no God out there that we pray to. We just have this truth of knowing that we are an expression of that God that is everywhere present, because everywhere includes in every fiber of our being. And then we went on to principle 4 because this whole series is about prayer. And prayer is that way that we raise our awareness of God that is within us and everywhere. And it's important because we can often forget. External circumstances, our lives can make us feel disconnected sometimes. And so prayer is our way to increase our awareness of God within. And we talked a little bit about the structure and process of prayer. So you all may remember this. We went through the 5 steps prayer process, or in the new terminology, prayer movements. And that is what, again, Jeannie is off learning at Unity Village. And what we'll be talking about, I guess, in that prayer workshop next week. And so this 5-step process kind of gives you the structure, the flow of how to go through it. And so this week, though, we want to kind of go a little bit deeper into the how of prayer. And because prayer is in itself an act of creation. We are creating with or as expressions of God. And so this starts with this idea that the universe responds to our level of consciousness. And this is very important because last week Beverly mentioned that pretty much everything can be considered a prayer. And so depending on where your level of consciousness is how the universe responds to you as you're praying, whether formally, yes, just like in the daily word that Betty read today, you know, how you speak and what you, yes, the universe responds in that way. And you all probably remember, I didn't add the slide in here, but when Beverly has talked about the different levels of consciousness, starting with like that victim consciousness of, you know, life happens to me, all the way up to that as me consciousness. And so it's important to keep in mind that the universe does respond to us based on our level of consciousness. And this brings us to principle 3. So last week we covered 3 of the 5 principles, and we're going to be going through the other 2 today. And so principle 3 is the I think. So, you know, there's the God is, I am, I think is where we are. And this is basically saying we are creators as an expression. We are creator as an expression of God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. And I actually really like the way that Beverly reworded this slide, because on the Unity website it says co-creators, which is a way of saying it, but really we are creators if we are identifying as expressions of God. It's not really a we are creators. And so this is done through our thoughts held in mind. And let's talk a little bit about what we mean when we say we are creators in this creation process. Because we have all created something, I imagine, whether it's a piece of art or baking a cake or remodeling a home. These are things that we create in the physical world. But there's also a metaphysical meaning of creation, and it starts not just with how things manifest in the physical world. So in the Revealing Word, the metaphysical meaning of creation, it says that the order of creation is from the formless to the formed, from the invisible to the visible. First in mind, then the idea in mind, then the materialization of the idea. So all of this creation starts with mind, and we have ideas in mind. And that's why it's important for us to watch our thoughts and our level of consciousness, because again, like the Daily Word said, if we're telling ourselves we're weak, if we're thinking I'm overwhelmed, if all this negativity is in our consciousness, then what is the universe showing us?
Give you more of that.
More of that.
Oh, okay.
More of that. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's what you want. Here you go. We kind of can see the world as like our mirror, basically. We're just, whatever we're putting out is reflecting back at us. And so it is important to recognize that the act of creation starts even before we see things in the physical world. It starts up here. It starts in our mind, and it starts with the ideas that we hold in our consciousness. But that's, of course, it's not the end of the creation process. At some point, it does manifest in the world one way or another. But even the manifestation process is a process in itself. And usually one of the first steps is the words that we speak. So before we have an idea, we think of something, we usually either talk to ourselves or friends or say something out loud. And these words are have power. And I like what Beverly said in our outline. She was saying it's not words themselves that have power, but it's the energy that they carry that have the power. Because words are just shells, really, for meaning. It's just the way that we figure out how to communicate with each other. But it's the energy that the words carry that have the power. And so in the Revealing Word, they also talk about how words are the vehicles through which ideas make themselves manifest. And so it's coming from that formless place, and words are kind of the first inkling of it being in the physical world, because the reason you can hear me is that sound is vibrating and hitting your ears, and so we're already in the physical world, and so words are the vehicle for how things manifest. And so it's very important to use our words wisely, because as we were saying, the universe responds to us in that way. And Charles Fillmore actually says that words are also seeds, and when dropped into the invisible spiritual substance, they grow and bring forth after their kind. So I think you all heard the phrase that thoughts and mind produce after their kind. It's the very same thing with words. It's what we basically are putting out into the universe is what we're going to produce more of. What we focus on grows. And so it is very important that our words are used to bring forth what we want to see more of, not less of. And so it even says in Proverbs, like death and life are in the power of the tongue. But I actually like this wording from the Message that says, words kill, words give life. They are either poison or fruit, and you choose. No one is making you say any words that come out of your mouth. You get to choose whether you want to give life or destroy something, and you have that power with your words. But again, the words all start with the thoughts that you hold in mind. And so if you have your thoughts in the right place, it's much easier for your words to also be in the right place. And so again, sometimes it's hard for us to remember that we need to keep ourselves in this positive space and say the positive words. And this is where prayer comes into place here. Because you can think of prayer as kind of like mental conditioning. When we use affirmative prayer, it trains our mind to dwell on positive, empowering, and truth-based thoughts. And over time, this shapes all your thoughts and actions, and then you start to see all that shaping in your outer experiences. So use affirmative prayer as a way to remind yourself to focus on those positive things, because we don't want to pray for the things we don't want. We want to pray for the things that we do want. And that gets us to the next part, which is you actually have to pray, right? You gotta do it.
Turn it.
I know, you have to actually do it, and this gets us to our fifth principle, which is the I do part. And it's talking about thoughts. Through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. It's not enough just to know it. Like, we can sit here Sunday after Sunday, hear all these wonderful messages that Russ and Jeannie and Beverly are giving, but if we go home and do nothing with it, we're not doing the full process. It requires action. It requires having a prayer practice. Even if it's not the sit down, I'm going to do the 5 steps, it's just even taking a moment to do a quick prayer, if it's even just a breath or just a feeling, but you have to do something in order for these things to have the effect in your life that you are looking for. It even says in James that faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. You can have all the faith in the world. They say you only need a mustard seed size, but you have to do something with that. And the example I have of this is, at one point in my career, I wanted to make a shift. I have like a non-technical background, and I really wanted to shift into a technical background. And I really believed that I could. I thought I was capable of learning, and I knew that I could do the job. But if I just said I knew I can do it and did nothing, I don't imagine that I could have made a career shift. It actually took me taking the action of studying and taking classes and applying for a technical job and doing the interview. All of these things are steps that if I had not taken them, all the faith I had in myself, it just wouldn't have really mattered, right? And so you have to do more than just believe. You have to take some action. And then again, going back to how sometimes we just forget, right? The world just can be sometimes overwhelming, and we don't know what action to take. But we have to remember that prayer itself is also an action. You can take the time to do prayer, because prayer is a way to spark empowered action. Because we can all get out there and do just whatever and try to make some things happen, but if we are not grounded in the spiritual truth of our being and what we are capable of when we know that truth, then our actions, you may luck out and something might work out, but it's when we take the time to pause that prayer and do prayer that we can prepare for action that's grounded in that spiritual truth. And when we affirm the good we seek and align with divine wisdom, that's when we are more likely to take intentional, faith-filled steps versus kind of just random steps and hoping for the best. But again, it's all about doing the thing. You have to take the time to do. And I realize I am just rushing through this, so.
You're doing well.
And so, so that act of creation, again, starting from our thoughts, and we have the ideas and thoughts in our mind, and they come into words, and then that impacts our actions. And you probably have heard this quote that talks about watch your thoughts because they become your words, and watch your words because they become your actions. And this again is that act of creation, again starting from the formless coming into the manifested world. And so this affirmation that we have here is this: I live in the awareness of God's presence and speak words of truth with knowing and power. Can we say this together? Together. I live in the awareness of God's presence and speak words of truth with knowing and power. Again, the words we speak, if we speak the words of truth, that is what helps us lead those intentional faith-filled actions. And so with what we've covered so far, and I know Beverly's going to come and help expound on some of this, but we have covered the 5 principles across these 2 series. The God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. And I think that I do part, again, is one of the more important things, because knowing all this stuff is not enough. We must live this truth. And I'm going to let Beverly come up and say a few more words before we get to the homework.
What a light, huh? Just really did an amazing job. And so, for clarification, I just want to say, we were talking about mind. We're not talking about our brain. And when we're talking about these ideas that come in to mind, it's not our mind. So we have a brain, which is made of gray matter, that's in our body. But actually our body is in our mind. Our mind, and then divine mind. As we mentioned last week, that quantum field, that field of energy that's referred to as God. So there's every possibility on every imaginable dimension, and every outcome is available to you. If we simply work with our mind, then we're limited by what we've learned on this physical plane. But when we take the time to connect, and then we allow the influence of divine mind, that's when the ideas come that we would never have thought of on our own. You know, Angela took the steps she needed to get into the area, but that idea that she had the ability, maybe no one on the human plane actually said, hey, Angela, you would probably be good in technical. So she didn't really believe it, but that thought was coming to her from something beyond and within her, something greater than what her mind, because we're so limited, and sadly, we limit one another. And sometimes, as painful as it is to admit to ourselves or to realize, we limit people that we love the most. Do you know what I'm saying by that? We look at people that we love and we know on a certain level they have the potential to do and be everything and anything. And then we let our own personal experiences come in and go, well, you know, but you probably, you know, there's a little bit, you don't, well, you know, maybe not, I don't know. But we're projecting our own fears on others. So when watching our words are not only watching our words to ourselves, we really need to watch our words that we share with one another. Because you can empower someone, you can light, you can reflect back to them that divine light, that Christos, that amazing presence, or you can encourage them to hide it under a bushel. Because maybe you had a bad experience, or someone you knew had a bad experience when they stepped out into a new career or a new direction or whatever. Be mindful of those moments and set that aside. And this is where, when we do our prayer meditation, we get into alignment with divine mind, and we can open our hearts and we can come from that. We can trust that we're coming from that. And if you find yourself feeling or leaning into saying something restrictive to yourself in the mirror or to another human being, just keep your mouth shut. Just don't. Just hold on to that. Just don't. Just hold on to that and take it later into prayer meditation and ask, where did that come from? Why did I think I needed to say that? Because it's not coming from you. It's not coming from your higher self. It's coming from a limited belief. And we all have limiting beliefs. All of us. Everybody in the room, everybody out there, we love you, and we all are human beings. So when we can examine and we can come into awareness of that limitation, then we can purposefully choose that, you know what? I don't want to believe that anymore. I see how that I've been dragging that along all this time. I wasn't even aware. And now that I'm aware, I can thank it for its service, right? At one point, probably when you were very little, that limiting thought might have protected you from jumping off of a house, which was something I liked to do when I was a kid, or getting into some kind of situation. We have those survival thoughts when we're little because we're vulnerable. But as we grow and we learn discernment, when we have those divine ideas that, hey, I could fly. And when you're a child, that means jump off the house. But when you're an adult, you're like, oh, flying is so much more than jumping off the house, right? It's living from the presence and the power and the truth that you are. And that can be just as scary for us. You just turn that light up a little more all the time and let yourself, like Angela has done so beautifully. She has stepped into this moment, into this opportunity, and allowed us to see her light. A little bit last week and a whole bunch this week. And aren't we just so proud and grateful because she's demonstrating to us what we all have the ability to do. We all have the ability to be that presence and that power within ourselves, for ourselves, and by virtue of being that for ourselves, we're that for everyone in our community and beyond. So that's just all I had to say to kind of bring everything that you said into a little bit more of a punch in the gut, maybe. I don't know. But I'll let you come up and talk about, as she calls it, the homework. I call it your weekly practice because I like for you to have a practice, but she'll give you homework.
Yes. Homework, weekly practice. I like weekly practice because, homework is like I'm do it and then I'm done. But no, we want to practice it. And we did have some homework last week. Did anybody get a chance to call? It's like, you did! Yay! Well, you did it. How was the call?
Awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed my call as well.
The intention, immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is wonderful.
You felt it? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I saw a shift, in material immediately. Yeah.
That is beautiful. I had a very similar experience. I will say, them sending you a letter or email, it is not actually the prayer. I thought it was, but
Yeah,
it is
I
not.
got the email and she was gonna send me a letter too.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. Well, if any of you, the rest of you get a chance, I highly recommend it if you've never done it before, or if you have, because it was a wonderful experience. So your weekly practice for this week is, as we were talking, just notice your thoughts and your words. Just pay attention. For me, sometimes those thoughts have just been going for a while before I just kind of snap and say, oh wait, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? So just notice. And then I do encourage taking some action. Again, if there's anything you've heard this week or previous week that you've just been thinking of, try to take a little action this week. And to help you with that action, I encourage you all to attempt to write an affirmative prayer using that 5-step process or the 5 movements. And that will be good preparation for the prayer workshop that is happening next Sunday. So if you're struggling a little bit this week trying to write that prayer, you might get a little bit more help when we do the workshop next week. So I encourage you to attempt to write a prayer. And it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be something big. Like Beverly was saying, there's no prayer that's too big or too small. Just give it a try so that you get in the habit of praying. So yes.